Hello, walls. I'm caught in something there. Alright, let's see here. Let's make sure it's transmitting. And let's see. What we're transmitting. I'm tired and I'm only halfway through my day. Testing. Alright, well that proves I'm transmitting. Alright, now let's get the show notes and get on the road. Good morning. I'll talk about that in the show. So, let's see if I can. It in. No, I'm more likely betting that one person viewing is me, but we'll see. Alright, so got everything up. Camera looks good. It's only been the wrong program. Back to the right program. Alright, let's see. Deck switch. Alright, we are ready to rock on here. Tonight! You know, I never read a start for this. Hold on here. Hush. Alright, now we're ready to go. Alright. Tonight, Spider-Man makes all the money, Superman and Lois get all the villains, Return of the Jedi gets preserved, and you can make your own cuddly bear named Pooh story. And remember actress Betty White. All that and more on this edition of Multiverse Tonight. Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Well, hello again, and welcome to episode 154 of Multiverse Tonight, the combined edition. My name is Thomas Townley, of course, your host, and welcome to the new year. Hey, we made it. We got past Christmas and New Year's Day. It was good for me. Christmas, had the day off from work, went over to my mother-in-law's house for dinner. We had bison steaks that I'd picked out. They were very good. We exchanged presents and all that. Got home a few days later. My mother-in-law called and said she had COVID. So we had to, luckily we're all vaccinated and boosted. So so I still had to go to work. I just had to, just monitor for symptoms, and so far nothing. So, it looks like we're all good. And my mother-in-law's symptoms are very, very mild. They're the cold-like symptoms. A cough, feeling tired, things like that. I got, a little money. My mother-in-law gave me a little money for to pay off my car a little sooner. I got some socks, got some underwear. General stuff. Also, during the holiday, we saw some movies. First of all, we saw Spider-Man No Way Home. Of course, no spoilers. I'm not that kind of a evil person, but it was a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed getting out to a theater to actually see this. I think where they're going to go with Spider-Man now is completely opened up. So hoping to see where this goes. We also saw Encanto. We watched it on Disney Plus. I highly recommend this. Movie. This is Lin-Manuel Miranda's music. He didn't write the story, but he wrote the songs, and they're just excellent. These are I've re-listened to the songs. They're just peppy and get you moving style songs. I also watched the Book of Boba Fett on Disney Plus as well. The first episode. It's a fantastic show. I've seen some people be down on it, but because I think one of the things I saw was like Boba Fett. They're mad that Boba Fett takes off his helmet. Well, why not? He's gone through this experience that's changed him. Now he's also, slight spoiler here, he's also in charge. So, he wants to be more of a man of the people. Who can blame him? Now, we also saw the trailer for Morbius with Jared Leto. I think this could probably do big business because of Jared Leto. Let's face it. If what he brought to the Joker, what he brought to the Joker, he can bring to this. I mean, is that Jared Leto? Anyway, Jared Leto does all the money. Anyway, enough of me babbling. Let's go on to the Marvel Comics news. And we, of course, begin Marvel Comics news with Spider-Man No Way Home, which is now not just a billion-dollar success, but is also Sony Pictures' highest-grossing movie in history, being out Spider-Man Far From Home. It's also number 10 on the highest-grossing movie list for the US and Canada, being out The Dark Knight, The Lion King, and Incredibles 2. Now, it has a long way to go to get to number 1, set by Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, which has a lifetime gross of $936,662,225. Internationally, it's 12th at the box office, and let's take a peek at what the current box office was this past weekend while we're here. All right. I'll pull this up here. All right, at number 10 was Encanto, falling one place. A Journal for Jordan came at number 9. Licorice Pizza stayed at number 8. Ghostbusters Afterlife actually shot up. It's the only one on the list to shoot up. It went up 17% from number 11 to number 7. West Side Story stayed at number 6. The Matrix Resurrections dropped from 3 to 5. So far, it's got a total of $29.5 million, or $300.9 million, excuse me, reading the wrong line. American Underdog came at number 4. The King's Man went from number 4 to number 3. Sing 2 stayed at number 2 with $19.6 million. It's made $89.6 million, but there's no way it can reach Spider-Man No Way Home, which this past weekend brought in $52.7 million gross for $609,802,000. So, on the all-time list, is currently sitting at number 10. It has about 12 million to go to beat The Last Jedi for the number 9 spot. So they'll probably do that next weekend, don't you think? Anyway, it was Merry Christmas and then some for Peter Parker as the skyscraper swinging superheroes' latest adventure, Spider-Man No Way Home, soared past the $1 billion mark at the global box office in just the second week of release. This makes Sony's smash hit not only the fastest blockbuster to accomplish the 10-figure feat since 2015 Star Wars The Force Awakens, but also the first $1 billion grosser worldwide since the pandemic began. But while Spidey was busy fighting crime and raking in the loot, the holiday slate of new releases, Sing 2, The Matrix Resurrections, The King's Man, American Underdog, and A Journal for Jordan, were left to divvy up the box office leftovers for varying degrees of success, a week after becoming the first film of 2021 to rake in more than $100 million in its opening frame. No Way Home continued to rule the multiplex, crossing the $1 billion benchmark in a mere 12 days. That pace puts the film in some pretty elite company. Only 2 films have reached $1 billion in receipts faster: 2018's Avengers Infinity War and 2019's Avengers Endgame. But Spidey's feat is especially impressive considering what's going on outside of theaters this winter, as the Omicron variant of COVID-19 continues to spread like wildfire, but apparently that appears to be just one more foe that Spidey doesn't mind going up against. Comic book artist Ryan Bodenheim has died at the age of 44. Bodenheim frequently collaborated with writer Jonathan Hickman on creator-owned titles at Image Comics, including A Red Mass for Mars, The Dying and the Dead, and Secret. He's also known for his Valiant Comics work on titles such as Bloodshot, Ninjak, 4001 AD, and Eternal Warrior. His Marvel comic work includes contributions to Black Panther. Now recently, Marvel announced Bodenheim as the artist for the upcoming Eternals one-shot, Eternals The Undying #1. Working with writer Kieran Gillian, Bodenheim is survived by his mother Susan Avery, children Jack and Lily, and his brothers David and Jonathan. The deleted scene list has been revealed for the release of Eternals on Blu-ray, DVD, and streaming. These scenes are Gravity, with Fastos and Jack having a conversation that leads to a breakdown. Nostalgia, with Sprite and Makari reminiscing about humankind while overlooking the ruins of Babylon. Movies, Gilgamesh and Kingo connect over movies while crossing the Amazon River with the rest of the team. Small talk. Sprite confronts Dane in the museum about his interactions with Cersei. Now, this will be available on the disc versions of the movie. Will be audio commentary, where you can view the film with audio commentary by Chloe Zhao, Stephanie Serrati, Martine Larson, and there's also Immortalized. Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe launches into the cosmos with the Eternals. In this behind-the-scenes documentary, dive deep into the reasons why Marvel wanted to immortalize these superheroes for the MCU. Walks of Life. Eternals unveils Marvel's biggest and most diverse lineup of superheroes in one film. Hear reactions from the cast on being involved in the film, and the instant sense of camaraderie that was felt on the day they all joined each other in their costumes. Plus a gag reel. Watch some of the hilarious mishaps of the charming cast and crew. Now, Eternals will start streaming on January 12th on Disney Plus and will be available on disc on February 15th. Now, let's go on to the DC news. The Batman will start streaming on April 19th, and not a day longer, according to confirmation from Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar. The CEO told Vox's Recode that the movie will hit the streaming service 46 days after it hits theaters on March 4th. Quote, think about when movies would show up on HBO, which is 8 to 9 months after theatrical premiere. The Batman is going to show up on day 46 on HBO Max. That is a huge change from where things were in 2018, 2017, 2016, unquote. Now, Michael Keaton will get another chance to reprise Batman other than the Flash movie. Keaton will be appearing as Batman in the HBO original movie, Batgirl. Plot details are sketchy at this time, other than the film centering on Barbara Gordon. Also announced to appear in this movie is J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon and Brendan Fraser playing the villain Firefly. The film has no release date, but is expected to appear in 2022. Superman and Lois' second season will apparently have multiple villains for the couple and family to deal with. Showrunner Todd Helbing said to SFX magazine, quote, the fans are going to know the path we are going down really quickly. In a really good way, the Superman issue he has is driving the issues he has as his dad. This is a particular villain that the more I talk about, the more people are going to figure out who it is. But Superman is dealing with an enemy that is going to be a massive headache for him. There are multiple villains, really. Both villains affect Clark and Lois personally. We start out with that one villain that is really more Superman while setting up the Lois villain. They are not working together, but they hand off in a cool way this season. One of them comes to the forefront and, in a lot of ways, is more powerful than the other one. It will take the whole team in a different way than last year to stop this person, unquote. Black Adam is coming, and Black Adam producer Hiram Garcia would love to make a Kingdom Come movie. In an interview he had with Collider, he was asked what his dream project was, and he replied, quote, look, I think the dream project that's something we've always spoken about at $7 we'd love to make someday, which is a tougher ambition due to, obviously, IP and rules and so forth, but always been obsessed with Kingdom Come, the Mark Waid, Alex Ross joint that those guys did. I think that storyline was always so compelling. We've always envisioned it as kind of an epic multi-film saga. I think that's something we've always dreamed of being able to do. If there was ever a dream project and not trying to start a fire where it's like we're gunning after that, because it's just pie in the sky. You'd love to be able to tell the story, and I always admired that story of the juxtaposition of old world heroes versus new school heroes and how they clashed, and a world so divided in terms of how they view what is justice now, and what was it, and what should it be. It's always just something very compelling in the big cataclysmic mashup of old versus new. That's something like, look, in a perfect world, we could do it. Would love to do it. You know, I would love something like that too, but again, so afraid that they'd mess us up. Anyway, let's go ahead over to some Star Wars news.
Roger, Roger.
And we begin Star Wars news with the return of the Jedi. Now, that film has been added to the National Film Registry as part of the class of 2021. It will be joined by The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Richard Pryor live in concert, Selena, Wall-E, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and several others. The National Film Registry are 25 films selected each year to showcase the range and diversity of American film heritage to increase awareness for its preservation. 5 years after Felicity Jones played the heroic and doomed Jyn Erso in Rogue One, she sat down for an interview with StarWars.com to reflect on it. She told them, quote, "I can't believe what an amazing part it was. Most of the female roles in franchises at the time were supporting roles, but Jyn Erso was different, scrappy, tough, resilient, and undoubtedly center stage as the leader of an impressive team of rogues and rebels. I just felt instinctively that I understood Jyn and knew how I wanted to play her," unquote. Now, she also talked about how blown away she was by the production, saying, quote, "The scale of Rogue One was incredible. The number of extras, the amount of crew, and the size of the sets. I've never experienced anything like it. It was like being on another planet." And then she also went on to talk about how she approached playing Jyn. Quote, "I approached Jyn very physically. I wanted it to feel like she's been learning to fight her whole life, and she navigates the universe in such a way that she's ready and prepared to attack whenever she might need to. In the weeks leading up to filming, Jones learned a form of martial arts called wushu and became an intensely dedicated practitioner. Quote, "It gave me the physical strength to annihilate stormtroopers, but also a sense of the mental strength that is so key to martial arts, that your body can be a lethal weapon and you have to use your strength wisely. I love all those aspects of Jyn, her leadership qualities and her instinct for survival, and also sort of inner peace that made her feel what happens, happens." Many of the attributes we're needing now with the pandemic we're going through. In fact, the role of a rebel who was ready to take on the entire empire herself gave Jones the strength and fortitude to stand up to real-life bullies. Quote, "I did feel invincible after playing Jyn," she says. "I remember some young guy was harassing my elderly neighbor for money at her front door, and I intervened to get him to leave her alone. I definitely was channeling a bit of Jyn's strength in that moment." Unquote. Star Wars Eclipse, the upcoming video game set in the High Republic, might be pushed back so far they'll have to pimp it again at a future Game Awards. According to a reputable leaker and industry insider, Tom Henderson, development studio Quantic Dreams may only release the game in 2026 or 2027. This is due to a variety of reasons, most notably due to shifts in the project's development goals and the recent allegations coming out against the studios. Citing sources that have information on Quantic Dreams' current and past plans, Henderson notes that Eclipse reportedly started life as an MMORPG that was pitched to Sony, who rejected the idea and instead pursued Detroit Being Human. Those assets from this project were then repurposed to pitch a game set in the Star Wars universe to Lucasfilm, who greenlit the game. Henderson also noted that while it's been in development for 18 months, there doesn't seem to be a playable build. Curiouser. Now let's go on to some Star Trek news. So, 2022 has a lot for Star Trek fans. Prodigy, Picard, and Lower Decks are returning, as well as the debut of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which will take us back to a more traditional episodic format for live action. Now, there will be new games like Star Trek Resurgence, a 4K update of the motion picture, and we'll see new toys from Playmates Toys after a 22-year hiatus. Of course, conventions, books, comic books, and more. And speaking of comics, IDW has announced a new 4-issue miniseries taking place in Discovery's far-flung future, Star Trek Discovery Adventures in the 32nd Century. The new series reunites co-writers Christian Beyer and Mike Johnson, whose previous collaboration on Star Trek Discovery comics included The Light of Kahless, Succession, and Aftermath. The authors are joined by artist Angel Hernandez, celebrated by fans for his work on Star Trek Green Lantern, The Spectrum War, and most recently, Star Trek Manifest Destiny. Each issue of Adventures in the 32nd Century will spotlight a different cast member, and the first issue's focus promises a unique perspective from the Star Trek franchise as it reveals the secret history of the Queen herself, Grudge the Cat. A flashback tale of her first meeting with Cleveland Booker sets the stage for a trajectory establishing Grudge as the greatest feline spacefarer of all. Subsequent issues will focus on Ensign Adira Tal, Lieutenant Kayla Detmer, and Science Officer Linus, Star Trek Discovery Adventures in the 32nd Century will be available with 2 cover variants for retailers and fans to enjoy, including Cover A by interior artist Angel Hernandez and a retail incentive edition by Aaron Harvey. No release date has been given. Now let's finish this puppy up with some geek news. A missing 1963 Aston Martin DB5 used in the James Bond movie Goldfinger has reportedly been found. According to Motorius via Yahoo, the sports car, chassis number DP/216/1, had been missing since June 1997 when it was stolen from a secured hangar at the Boca Raton Airport where it had been stored. In the nearly 25 years since the theft, many have theorized about the car's location, but now investigators believe they have located the Aston Martin in the Middle East. The exact location has not been released. Now, according to witnesses spotted the car in a private setting, but Art Recovery International has only indicated that Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Bahrain are particular areas of interest. The report notes that someone was able to verify the car's serial number and found it to be a match for the missing Aston Martin. The car is worth more than $25 million, and investigators are hopeful that it will be recovered soon. The chief executive of Art Recovery International said in a statement, quote, "I am hopeful that the possessor will come forward voluntarily before I have to make an announcement. It's my policy to give possessors of stolen and looted objects every opportunity to do the right thing. I don't believe the current possessor knew the car was stolen when he or she acquired it. Now they do know. I think they should make every effort to have a discreet, confidential discussion about how we clear the title for this iconic vehicle," unquote. Now, that vehicle was driven by Sean Connery in the 1964 film Goldfinger. This specific vehicle is unique due to the number of gadgets that were installed in it for the purposes of making the movie, such as the pop-out machine guns, the water oil sprayers, tire shredders, and more. At the time of the theft, the vehicle was owned by a businessman named Anthony Puglisi, who had purchased the vehicle at Sotheby's New York auction in 1986 for $275,000. Now, since the theft, there have been numerous theories about the vehicle, including that the vehicle was stolen by a real-life Bond villain. Though the real story about the car's theft will have to wait until it's been safely recovered. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, cuddly little... Winnie the Pooh will enter the public domain in 2022. However, before you start printing t-shirts with that particular yellow bear on it, there's some huge caveats you should know about. First off, it's not the Disney versions that are going into the public domain, but the original short story collection by A.A. Milne. The original book came out in October of 1926, so you can make a story based on the original book, but no Tigger, who wasn't introduced until 1928, which means he's copyrighted until 2024. However, Disney's versions of the characters are still trademarked. Now, Disney's versions came out in 1961, so that's no Yellow Rabbit, no shirts on Roo, and no red shirts on your own personal version of Pooh. However, you can base your art off the original drawings of the book to your heart's content. Other things entering the public domain this year include Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises, Agatha Christie's The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, Felix Slatten's Bambi, A Life in the Woods, which was the basis for the Disney movie of the same name, sound recordings pre-1923, several movies included starring Harold Lloyd, Buster Keaton, Greta Garbo, and Rudolph Valentino, and music works like George and Ira Gershwin's Someone to Watch Over Me, Harry Wood's When the Red, Red Robin Comes Bobbing Along, and Irving Berlin's Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And 2021 just couldn't leave without taking a huge penance. New Year's Day dawned with the news that actress Betty White had passed away during the night. Betty White was born on January 17, 1922, in Oak Park, Illinois. Now, Betty got her start in radio when she was 8 years old as a guest caller in 1930. When World War II broke out, she put her career on hold and volunteered for the American Women's Voluntary Services, transporting supplies through California. Several years later, she would work as a radio personality in Los Angeles and soon got her own radio show called The Betty White Show. After she transitioned to television, co-hosting a daily show called Hollywood on Television, 5.5 hours of live ad-lib television 6 days per week over a continuous 4-year span. In all of her various variety series over the years, White would sing at least a couple of songs during each broadcast. Now, in 1951, she was nominated for her first Emmy Award as Best Actress on Television, competing with such legendary stars as Judith Anderson, Helen Hayes, and Imogene Coca, but the award went to Gertrude Berg. That was the first award in the new Emmy category designated for women on television. White would soon get her own sitcom called Life with Elizabeth in the 1960s. She was also a staple on game shows and panel talk shows like The Tonight Show and Password. She married Password's host Alan Ludden in 1963. She also made appearances on shows like What's My Line, To Tell the Truth, I've Got a Secret, Match Game, and Pyramid over the decades. Betty made her feature film debut as Kansas Senator Elizabeth Ames Adams in the 1962 drama Advise and Consent. She was also offered the anchor job on the Today Show, but turned it down, not wanting to move to New York. She did, however, start a 19-year run as host and commentator for NBC's annual Rose Parade coverage. In the 1970s, Betty would make several appearances on the Mary Tyler Moore Show as Sue Ann Nivens. This role would win her 2 Emmy Awards and was considered the highlight of her career. After the Mary Tyler Moore Show ended, White was offered a 4th Betty White show, but it lasted only 1 season. In the 1980s, White became the first woman to win a Daytime Emmy Award in the category of Outstanding Game Show Host for the NBC entry Just Men. Due to the amount of work she has done on them, she has been deemed the First Lady of Game Shows. She also had a recurring character on the TV series Mama's Family, and in 1985 she got the rose that would keep her fresh to millions for decades to come as Rose Nyland in the NBC sitcom The Golden Girls, for which she won 1 Emmy Award for Outstanding Actress in a Comedy Series for the very first season of the show, and was nominated in that category each year of the show's run. The only cast member to receive that distinction, Estelle Getty, was also nominated every year, but in the Supporting Actress category. The 90s saw the end of the Golden Girls after B. Arthur decided to leave the series. White, Rue McClanahan, and Estelle Getty reprised their roles for a spin-off called The Golden Palace, but it only lasted 1 series. She would go on to reprise the role on other shows like Empty Nest and Nurses, and would spend the rest of the decade doing guest star roles, even winning an Emmy in 1996 for Outstanding Guest Actress in the comedy series, appearing as herself on an episode of The John Larroquette Show. In the 2000s, White was cast in a recurring role on The Bold and Beautiful, making 22 appearances. She also had guest appearances on Boston Legal, The Practice, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and other shows. In 2009, White starred in the romantic comedy The Proposal alongside Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. The film was a box office and critically acclaimed success. Also in 2009, the candy company Mars Incorporated launched a global campaign for their Snickers bar. The campaign slogan was, "You're not you when you're hungry." White appeared alongside Abe Vigoda in the company's advertisement for the candy during the 2010 Super Bowl, and the advertisement became very popular, winning the top spot on the Super Bowl ad meter. Following the Snickers ad, a grassroots campaign was launched calling for Betty White to host Saturday Night Live, and NBC responded for making her the host on the May 8th edition in 2010. The gig earned her a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress in the comedy series, her 7th Emmy overall. After that, she landed the role of Elka on the TV Land sitcom Hot in Cleveland, hosted a senior citizen practical joke show called Betty White's Off Their Rockers, got merchandised with a calendar and clothes, and in 2012 she won a Grammy for a spoken word recording for her bestseller, If You Ask Me. She also won the UCLA Jack Benny Award for Comedy, recognizing her significant contribution to comedy and television, and was roasted at the New York Friars Club, and was honored with a special for her 90th birthday party. In 2019, she had 2 final movie roles in Toy Story 4 and Trouble. Betty White passed away in her sleep at her home in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles on the morning of December 31st, just 17 days shy of her 100th birthday. She'll be sorely missed. And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Multiverse Tonight. Now be sure to check us out on social media. We're at Twitter at Multiverse Tom. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. And if you'd like to contribute financially to the show, by all means do so. Just head on over, check out the show notes, visit the TeePublic store, and so much more at multiversetonight.com. If you're a subscriber, please be sure to share us with your friends, and if you're brand new to the show, thank you. And please share the show with others, and be sure to subscribe. Also, leave some feedback. Let me know how we're doing. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for the intro music and Lobo Loco for the outro theme music. Thanks for watching this New Year's Day. I should say 2 days after New Year's edition of Multiverse Tonight. Now we'll be back in just 2 weeks with more sci-fi and comic book news. Now please exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Multiverse Tonight is a production of Half Baked Genre Productions. Copyright 2022. All rights reserved.